Hi everyone, I'm Robin1200 and I'd like to show you a little behind the scenes on a song I composed. I'll be going through the hardware I used, as well as a few techniques that brought this little song together. So while everything's set up, I'm excited to share my process on Capisce-koma. Capisce-koma was composed for the collaboration album Power Sample Masters, devised by Catenator Haru and Mel from the DTM MIDI Central Discord server. We've done a bunch of music albums over the past 5 years together in this group, mostly around MIDI sound modules. The idea behind this album was to get participants to submit some samples that they'd created themselves from their own recordings or recordings of original patches from synths they have at their disposal. Thanks to the amazing liner notes from Mel, we can see some very interesting statistics regarding the samples, which made this album about as unique of an experience as you can get. Once the track was prepared, I previewed all of the sounds and picked out any that inspired me. I winged a sketch in OpenMPT but wasn't particularly happy with it. Sometimes I do a music sketch and I can't see where it could go next. As the deadline approached, I didn't really have anything to show for myself. It was just a few days before the deadline that I started my track with my trusty TX16W. Okay. Typhoon flute disc. Power on. You can't even read the text. I'll be honest, it's a bit of a clunky sampler. Even with the Typhoon 2000 OS loaded up, the UI is not brilliant. The screen is certainly part of the problem, but also the buttons are very squishy and not particularly tactile. One amazing feature of the TX16W that I like the most is how easy it is to create a kit of sounds. Once you create a program, you can go to Utility and simply add each sample. It had been a while since I last used it. I must have messed something up when setting up the programs or importing the samples. It just wouldn't work. Each note should be assigned to a sample, but this just wasn't working as I expected. Sadly, I wasted hours of time that could have been used productively for the song. This is a huge thing about the hardware MIDI workflow, and I can't stress it enough. If you take too long preparing for the song, you'll just lose your motivation over time to actually work on the song.
If I want to kill MIDI.
And here's the program I used to compose the song, Sakaiju. What to say about this program? It's pretty basic looking, it's quite old school looking, but I use it, I'm used to it. Let me turn back on my effects unit, and you can hear how it sounds affected by the Digitech. This particular channel, I have all of the samples set out to each note, so that's just the drum loop there for that one. Okay, so just for some fun added context, this Digitech unit that I have, the DSP256XL2, I'm pretty sure it's a prototype of the TSR12, like some sort of in-between. And funnily enough, I got it for an insanely cheap price on eBay, £18.99. I think I was the only bidder. I had to have it because it looked really interesting. The Digitech is on chorus and delay duty, and for the delay I just kind of eyeballed it until it sounded good. So now let's look at the next channel. This one is affected by the Fostex, so I have an individual out to the Fostex. This particular channel is affected by the Fostex, and you can hear it in use here. So if I type in notes, so I got that modified by circuit benders in the UK, and it's a lot of fun to play with. And I thought it'd be fun to use in this song. This next channel is the choir sound. I really like the TX16W because it's lo-fi, but it's not too crunchy either. It's very Amiga to me, which is kind of the style I was going for in the first place for this song. You can see the pitch bends down here that I've done. And I have some modulation as well, which provides the vibrato. It can go quite insane on the TX16W, this is how far it can go. Just becomes like a warbled mess. If I remove the pitch bends, it's just going to sound weird. That's how I do tracker style portamento in MIDI. One unfortunate thing about the TX16W is that it doesn't understand expression, which is what I usually use to change the volume of stuff on the fly. So it was kind of awkward. I had to make everything 127 max volume and use volume as the expression. It's quite sensitive as well. So if I did like this, it stops at like the kind of 64 mark. It's just way too quiet. It's still audible, but it's just really, really quiet. I had to do some pretty short loops for these samples to get them to fit on a single floppy disk. And that's another thing about the TX16W. It only supports the old 720k discs. It doesn't support 1.44 megabyte discs. However, the TX16W does have a function to compress the samples, which is actually really good. It basically halves the size of the samples. I think these channels down here are quite interesting as well. Although I mapped every sample out in the first channel, for this channel, I have the Hikaru no Yume filter sweep chord. The resonance is actually mapped to velocity instead. So if I change the velocity here, and that means I could transpose it as well. As well as this channel as well. This is the other chord. I actually modified this one in Melodyne to give it a different chord. To make it a major seventh instead. I mostly did this because it was quite limiting to use the single pitches for the chords. Doing pitch bends just didn't give me enough range. When recording the stems, I manually changed the output volume of the Digitech to give it a more dynamic feeling with the echoes. So that was the track. I hope you enjoyed having a look at it. I've got all the effects set up. So now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start playing the sequence in Sakaiju. So this is it raw. And here's the Digitech. I can turn up the Digitech. So now let's turn on the circuit vent Fostex. There it is. So as you probably noticed, there's a strange knob on the Fostex. This was installed by circuit benders, and what it basically does is that it reclocks the entire Fostex, so you can underclock or overclock as you desire. This can produce some really strange bit crushing sounds when it's quite low. You can also get some crazy reverb tails and delays. And so, that concludes the creation of my track, Capisce-koma. So that begs the question, should you go the hardware MIDI route? Maybe this depends on multiple things: your income, your patience, and of course your attention span. If you want to cut as many corners as possible, chances are you'll be stuck in a rut trying to get it all to work. Of course, to get started in your own music adventure, you don't need to buy anything. There's so much free software out there to explore, which we could look at together in a future episode. Thanks for watching until the end. I hope you enjoyed this little demonstration. Please share this video around and listen to my music. I really appreciate it.
Capisce-koma?